presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are the Lions.
Well, it's a rainy day in Cincinnati, but as predicted, right now we're dry. And we are playing baseball, the final 3 home games of the year at Great American Ballpark as we wind down this 2011 year. And the final series has the Reds hosting the Houston Astros. And hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Cincinnati Reds baseball. And you know, you and I were talking about it seemingly every single night, and on this homestand, it's been every single night. You've been here the last 3 games against Milwaukee. Brandon Phillips, we see him year after year, game after game, but it never gets old.
You know, Tom, even in a year where you think overall the team is somewhat underachieved, you certainly haven't reached where you wanted to from the win-loss column. You can always come out to the ballpark here, Great American Ballpark, and be treated on a nightly basis to maybe some of the best defense you will see anywhere in baseball. Brandon Phillips will catch ground balls, pop-ups, he'll lay out for him. He is the pitcher's best friend, I'll tell you that. And I'm not sure if you ever think that you've seen another second baseman that can cover as much ground as Brandon Phillips, either going to his right or going to his left. This guy just does it all.
Of course, fielding percentage sometimes can be a bit misleading because Phillips is clearly getting to so many more balls than 99% of the second baseman in all the baseball out there. He's just been amazing to watch.
Well, you know, it's funny because for years now, people have tried to figure out a way to judge defensive ability, you know, zone rating and things like this. And I still don't think there's a way that you can appreciate Brandon Phillips unless you're on the mound for the Cincinnati Reds and you're pitching and you see him scoop up seeming base hits, turn them into outs, and next thing you know, you're in the dugout with a big smile on your face.
Well, the guy hoping to have a smile on his face by night's end. A surprise start tonight from a guy who began the year in the Reds rotation, left-hander Travis Wood. Chris will break it down with Travis when we return.
Copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
We wondered throughout the entire day whether or not we would have baseball here tonight at Great American Ballpark. Well, how about it, Tim Hedrick?
Some spotty showers around. Most of it is gone. Down to 64 heading home. Give me a pitch near the end of the season. Need to pad the stats. That's nice. That's nice. Enjoy the game on Fox Sports Ohio. Send Cowboy over.
Well, Travis Wood back in the rotation, at least for tonight. And, of course, this season has not gone the way Chris Welsh had hoped.
No, you're right about that, Tom. Early in the year, you thought Travis Wood would be one of the anchors of this staff, and it's not gone that way. He spent a lot of time in AAA, and I think you're going to see a little different Travis Wood, at least from a strategy standpoint, and I'll get to that when he takes them out. J. Happ, a left-hander that has spent some time down the minor leagues for the Astros. Since coming back, he has been outstanding. A 2-1 record and a 2.25 earned run average, formerly a Philadelphia Philly. He struggled a little bit with the Reds so far this year, especially with Joey Votto. So we'll see if Happ has figured out Votto and if Wood has figured out himself tonight as a matchup of left-handers take them out here at Great American Ballpark.
Stan, Reds and the Astros for 3 begins next.
Reds Baseball is brought to you by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state. By your local Ford dealer. Ford, drive one. By the Regional Tourism Network. Book your trip at CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Whenever you're feeling good and hungry, it's Skyline time.
Alrighty, Reds have taken the field for the opening game of this 3-game series. Night games tonight, tomorrow night, and an afternoon tilt on Wednesday to end the home slate of this 2011 regular season. Take a look at the Astros starting lineup tonight. Jason Bourgeois, Jose Altuve, and J.D. Martinez to start it. Carlos Lee over at first, Matt Downs in right. Jimmy Paredes is at third. Latter third of Clint Barmas, Humberto Quintero, and J.A. Happ. Or as he likes to be called, J. Happ. Travis Wood, meanwhile, started to talk about this season has not gone the way I think everybody hoped it would. Nobody more so than him. But he's still so young, and there's a lot to like about the future for Travis Wood.
Yeah, I'm sure that there are a lot of internal discussions about Travis Wood, where he fits into the picture next year. And I think that he could go a long way to help himself by finishing strong. And, you know, it's always the last thing that people remember about you sometimes, going into the offseason, that they will remember going into the spring training. So Travis Wood, for his sake, you know, wants to come out here, throw the ball well. He has not pitched a whole lot since he was recalled right around September 1st from Louisville. So if he has a little rust, you can figure it out.
Well, we're underway here at Great American Ballpark. 1-1, and a breaking ball misses. 2-1 to the speedy Jason Bourgeois. 29 steals. He's only been thrown out 6 times. And now the 2-1 pitch. Lined into center field, and Bourgeois will be off to the races. Let's take a look at the Reds on defense, presented by Ford. Stubbs will be flanked by Heisey and Jay Bruce. Along the infield, Frazier and Votto on the corners. Renteria and Phillips up the middle, with a battery of Travis Wood and Ramon Hernandez. Umpires tonight: Chair Fairchild behind the plate, Angel Campos at first, Sam Holbrook at second, Paul Schreiber the umpire down at third. Here's Jose Altuve. And here's off to the races Bourgeois, and easily steals on the first pitch to the very next batter.
Yeah, I've always thought, Tom, you get a guy who's the leadoff hitter in the lineup and he gets a base hit or he walks to lead the game off. You know, oftentimes they're looking to steal first move that you make. And I've always thought that it's worthwhile, especially for a left-handed pitcher, just to throw over once, just to let him know that you know he's over there. And he got a big jump right there. Really did not give Ramon Hernandez a chance at all to throw him out.
Bunted in the air and playing off a bounce is Frazier. He thought about coming in to get it. That'll be a sacrifice, advancing Bourgeois on to third. Boy, now that's making it happen. Leadoff base hit. Steal second on the next pitch, and the next pitch, a runner standing at third.
Well, you know, you're looking at a lineup here with the Houston Astros, and a lot of these guys might be in AAA next year. I mean, they are fighting for their major league lives right now. So they're trying to make anything happen they can. They've not scored a lot of runs, but now they've put the Reds in a situation where they've got an easy way to score one if you just get a ball into the outfield.
J.D. Martinez getting a start in left field. Swung the bat pretty well. 267 hitter, 5 home runs, and 31 runs batted in. Martinez and the batter who just put down the bunt, Altuve, had lights out months of August. But now here in September, they're seeing teams for a second go round, many of those, of course, inside the Central. And the numbers not anywhere near they were in August. 0-2 on Martinez. Of course, Chris, you know all about, playing that extra month when you've been a career minor leaguer. Now all of a sudden you're playing through the month of September. There you see the numbers. Very good August, 28 runs batted in, and very quiet here in September.
Well, the question that J.D. Martinez has to answer is it the extra month and the fatigue, or is it the exposure to major leaguers where they're finally figuring you out? He needs to put the ball in play right here. He doesn't do it. Little backdoor cutter or slider right there from Travis Wood. Clips the outside of the strike zone. Great pitch by Wood.
Well, he takes care of Martinez on 3 in a row, and the infield will back up. Bourgeois third, 2 are out for Carlos Lee. 18 home runs and 86 batted in for Lee. Always been among the game's very best run producers for well over a decade. Two 2-0. A situation like this, you have a youngster in downs in the on-deck circle. Do you say to yourself, am I going to let the most experienced and by far the most productive hitter career-wise in this lineup drive in the game's first run? And they wanted nothing to do. It didn't look like anyway with Carlos Lee.
Well, that looked like a good old-fashioned pitch around right there. I remember that a pitcher in any part of any of the ball game that he pitches is managing the game itself. He's not necessarily trying to get every hitter that he faces out. He wants to make sure he throws zeros up on the board. So as you say, Carlos Lee, the one major league legitimate run producer that's in this lineup, is a guy that if you ever run on third base, you get behind to him in the count, why would you come after him? Make the next kid, a young kid who's been mostly a player off the bench for the Astros, come up and try to be a hero.
Downs has been a very, very good pinch hitter this year, and they can play him just about anywhere. Tonight, his first start out in right field, but he can play second, third, first. And the Astros feel like he will definitely be on this major league team looking ahead to 2012. There aren't a lot of guaranteed jobs. But when you have the versatility of Downs, you get a good chance to stick with the team. Downs originally a Giant, and as you see, claimed off waivers by Houston in August of last year. Speaking of the Giants, they have a night off tonight. So too do the Arizona Diamondbacks. That is now a 5-game spread. Diamondbacks led by 9.5 games a little over a week ago. And those two teams will play this coming weekend in Arizona. 3-1 on Downs. Take a look at our Honda standings. Talked about the National League West, and the wild card is still not a gimme. St. Louis beating Philadelphia behind Chris Carpenter last night. They're already leading 2-0 over the Phillies tonight.
And Roy Halladay.
And there's ball 4 to Downs, and they're loaded with 2 men out in the inning. Hernandez going to visit with Travis Wood. Well, going back to those standings, Atlanta tonight just underway playing in Florida. Really, there are only 3 races that are still left. The American League wild card earlier today, Boston lost game 1 of a doubleheader. Final count of 6-3 against Baltimore. They're just underway in game 2. A 1.5-game lead for the Boston Red Sox. They led by 10 games 2.5 weeks ago.
Tough to get that chowder down this time of year, isn't it? When you see that kind of performance out of your hometown team.
Broken bat pop up.
Take that.
And this will end the inning. The Astros leave them loaded. So the Reds are coming up in a scoreless game. Five games under 500. Brandon Phillips, Edgar Renteria, Joey Votto, Jay Bruce, a cleanup hitter in right field, Chris Heisey in left, with Drew Stubbs in center, and a latter third of Todd Frazier, Ramon Hernandez, and Travis Wood against left-hander Jay Happ.
Big guy, 6 feet 6 inches tall is Jay Happ. He comes out of Spring Valley, Illinois. He went to Northwestern University, originally drafted and signed by the Philadelphia Phillies. And he's been in the big leagues a lot. Had one very good year. That was 2009, where he won 12, lost 4 for the Phillies, had a good earned run average under 3, and has struggled a little bit, especially since coming over here to the Astros.
Ball 1 to Brandon, who checks in at 294. 16 home runs. Of course, he had 4 home runs in that 4-game series against the Cubs to begin this homestand, and he, like the rest of his teammates, extremely quiet while the Brewers were in town. That team looks like it's primed and ready for the postseason.
Well, you know, they were on a little bit of a tough skid when they came into Cincinnati. They had won only 2 of the previous 8 games. They were beginning to worry. They thought perhaps the Cardinals were going to get to catch them, but their pitching looked very good. I mean, the Reds struck out an awful lot, something like 35 strikeouts over that 3-game series.
In the air, right center field, chasing is Bourgeois at the wall. Brandon has hit yet another, his 5th on this homestand, and number 17 on the year. Brandon Phillips is safe at home. He's safe. He's secure, Mr. Welsh,
with New York life. You know, isn't it interesting, though? Here we feature Brandon Phillips in our open from a defensive standpoint. But what he does to really get the people on their feet here at Great American Ballpark is go deep to start the ball game off for the Reds half the first inning. Boy, is he pushing from a performance standpoint late in the year right here to try to get that extension on a long-term basis right here. Reds have an option on him. And he just takes that high fastball up around belt high, and he knows it. That ball sounded great coming off the bat.
You know, you were talking a minute ago about that Chowder not going down all that well as Renteria's out on strikes and all the gripping going on in Red Sox Nation.
Yeah.
Baltimore is batting in the first inning of Game 2 with a 3-0 lead.
You know, sometimes when you start to streak, whether it's good or bad, it's hard to find the breaks.
Man, oh man, oh man. If any of you have you know, the satellite package where you can watch games from out of town and you get a chance to watch all the coverage, and boy, they do an unbelievable job covering Red Sox baseball. Or maybe visit that part of the country and the fan following on a nightly basis and the passion. My, oh my, what it must be like up there right now. 0-2 to Joey Votto. And Votto gone on strikes. 3 straight pitches. Take a look at Houston on defense, presented by Ford. Martinez, Bourgeois, and Downs, left, center, and right. Paredes and Lee on the corners in the infield with Vargas and Altuve up the middle. Happ and Quintero the battle. Showed you those numbers for Brandon Phillips in his career against Happ. Well, now it's 5 out of 8 with 3 home runs. It's pretty good. Ball and a strike to Jay Bruce. 30-run home runs, a career best. So too are the 92 runs batted in. Broken bat, 1 hopper to the shortstop, and the inning is over. But a solo home run by Brandon Phillips has put the Reds in front at the end of 1 by 1. storylines brought to you by Elk & Elk, serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Take a look at the Astros opening lineup and all of the changes. Opening day versus tonight. Cleanup hitter and the number 8 hole hitter. The only two players still in the lineup regularly. Bourne, of course, traded. Sanchez gone. Pence to Philadelphia. Hall gone. Johnson and Wallace. They're two young corner infielders that they thought, and Chris, quite frankly, we thought after seeing them play well at the end of last year and the early part of this year that they might be around for a while. Chris Johnson and Brett Wallace.
Well, they were both sent down actually on the same day down to the minor leagues. It was a surprise to both of them. But they were simply not performing at the big league level. They went down. Wallace went down and hit pretty well down in AAA. But, you know, there's a lot of open spots on the Astros roster, and a lot of uncertainties here overall.
Yep.
Because number one, starting with their ownership, and Graydon McLean, the majority owner of the Astros, has been for a long time, has tried to sell the ball club. He thought he had a deal done, and that deal has not been approved by Major League Baseball, so all of that is in limbo.
In fact, the Astros are a little bit confused. That one has popped up to the right side for Joey Votto as to really where all that stands as far as the ownership change is concerned. There's an agreement in place with a businessman in the Houston area, Jim Crane. And not only has Major League Baseball not approved it, they have not even taken it to the owners for a vote. And there's from what I understand, a contract in place that runs through the end of October between Jim Crane and Graydon McLean, and if it's not taken care of by then, the prospective buyer in this case can just walk away and say, well, good luck trying to sell to somebody else. Two on Humberto Quintero. The Astros left the bases loaded. In the first inning, they had a runner at third with one out. Wood got a big strikeout, but then made it interesting walking back-to-back batters before getting a pop-up to end the inning. Still 0-2 on Quintero. Quintero clearly enjoying seeing a left-hander out there on the mound. He was rather pleased when he heard that Travis Wood would get the start here tonight, or so he thought, until his first at bat. Get ready for Reds action 30 minutes before every game with the Emmy Award-winning Reds Live on Fox Sports Ohio. Jim Day, Jeff Piccoro, and company. Reds Live presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. What a wonderful piece done by Jim Day on Yonder Alonso on Reds Live earlier tonight. For those of you that missed it, I would like to think we're going to run that again before this season is over. In fact, I'm told we will on the upcoming road trip through Pittsburgh and then winding down the year against the New York Mets at Citi Field beginning on Monday. It is a remarkable story about his family coming over from Cuba, leaving behind Yonder Alonso's extended family. His grandmother so close with, never saw her again after they moved to Miami. As it's a 1-2-3 inning. We understand Monday or Tuesday will be the day we run that next week, and when we know which day for sure, we'll let you know, because you definitely want to see that piece done by Jim Day. spring training, and new this year is a Reds spring training package. Exclusive meet and greet with Reds personnel, custom Reds merchandise. You get great seats to watch the Reds. For information on 2012 spring training, visit reds.com/spring travel today. Take a look at our Farmers Insurance Group report card on Chris Heisey.
Well, take the number of at-bats he has, 250. The number of home runs. In a major league season, you get somewhere around 500 at-bats if you're an everyday player. So do the simple math. Is he a 30 to a 35 home run a year hitter? That's the thing you have to ask yourself. Or is the sample size coming off the bench, being a part-time player, the best way that he fits into a major league roster? I mean, he is out to prove himself to be an everyday player. And he's got that edge, and that's the one thing that impresses me first about Heisey. He looks around and he sees first-round draft picks like Drew Stubbs and Jay Bruce and other guys on other ball clubs saying, hey, look at the big bucks these guys are making. And I should be there too, because I feel like I'm every bit as good as they are. Not in an obnoxious way. He's not cocky by any means, but you have to have that edge if you want to excel at this level. And Chris Heisey's got that. What he's not been able to do is adjust to the off-speed pitches when he gets everyday playing time, and that's his next step.
Stubbs waiting on deck, and then it'll be Todd Frazier. Heisey out of there on strikes.
Well, he got behind on the count, Heisey did, and you know what looks like J. Happ is doing? He's simply just throwing fastballs tonight. I mean, he's not messing around a lot with an off-speed pitch. He throws a fastball, slider, curveball, and changeup. But he's a big guy, and even though he only lights the radar gun up around 88 to 91 miles an hour, that ball seems like it gets on hitters faster than the radar gun readings.
A strike on Drew Stubbs at 247, 15 home runs and 43 runs batted in. Every game the remainder of this season will be on Fox Sports Ohio, including the day game here day after tomorrow. Be in Pittsburgh Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday, and then we mentioned the final 3 games of the year from Citi Field in New York. Monday, Tuesday night, Wednesday day game, as this year the baseball season ends. The first time I can ever remember it, Chris, during the week rather than a Sunday afternoon. Of course, they moved things up this year just to begin the year so that they would not be playing postseason baseball in November.
Remember, it started at the end of the week this year instead of at the beginning of the week. So you had to figure the ending would be also a little bit different. Also, for the Reds, it's odd that they will finish outside of their division on the road in New York. That hasn't happened in a long, long time. I can't remember that happening in the last 19 years.
Of course, another thing that never happens, at least it's never happened to the Reds, and it will looking ahead to 2012, is that very unique trip the Reds will make in May, where they go play the Mets on a Wednesday and a Thursday, and then stay in New York and play the Yankees on an interleague weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Ball 4 to Stubbs, good at bat. But he's aboard with 1 out. Reds leading 1-0 here in the second inning, and here comes Todd Frazier.
All right, now you see if Drew Stubbs will take the same strategy that Jason Bourgeois did when he got on first base. I mean, the very first pitch, he decided to steal second base. The answer to that is negative.
Drew Stubbs 3 stolen bases away from reaching that number 40. Will be the first Red to do that since Deion Sanders had 56 stolen bases in 1997. Oh, and 2 on Todd Frazier. Florida 1-0 lead in the bottom of the second inning over Atlanta. We told you St. Louis a 2-1 lead now over Philadelphia there in the third. And Boston has gotten a run back in the bottom of the first inning, trailing Baltimore 3-1 in the second game of a doubleheader. Baltimore won game 1. Tampa Bay does not play tonight. Should Boston lose both games of that doubleheader, they'd be tied in the loss column in a 1-game spread for the wild card with a week to go. Bad news for the Rays is they still have to play the Yankees 7 times. You know, that has a chance to go down as truly one of the great collapses in the history of baseball, all things considered. Yeah. I mean, you begin, of course, with the lead. There was double digits a little less than 3 weeks ago for that wild card. Bigger than 10 games of spread between Boston and Tampa Bay. Of course, for a long time, Boston was in first place in the division. And when you think about Tampa Bay and where they are, should they leapfrog Boston and get in, especially here over the final 9-10 games and all the games that the Rays play against the Yankees? Wow. Stolen base for Stubbs, so he didn't go on the first pitch, but he gets there. And that's stolen base number 38.
Had a big lead right there. It seemed like deeper and deeper into this at bat, J. Happ began to worry more about Todd Frazier at the plate than Stubbs at first base, as well he should.
A fair ball down the left field line off the bat of Frazier that'll bring in Stubbs. And Frazier, after falling behind in the at bat 0-2, goes to 2-2 and makes it 2-0 Reds.
Really nice at bat by Todd Frazier right here, because he fell behind on outside fastballs, and then he fouled a couple of real good pitches off from J. Happ before he finally got a breaking ball he could fire it past the third baseman.
Ramon Hernandez, Reds trying to add to a 2-0 leader in the bottom of the second inning. Strike 1. It's going to be very interesting to see how everything plays out once the season is over on multiple fronts. But one of them will very much be the plight of Ramon Hernandez. Well, you figure there's no way the Reds are going to offer him arbitration. They have Ryan Hannigan signed for 3 more years. Mesoraco figures to be the regular catcher looking ahead to 2012. But there have been whispers that maybe the Reds bring Hernandez back.
Well, if you're Ramon Hernandez, remember that you're going to be a free agent, and looking at the free agent class of catchers coming out, even though he'll be 36 years old next May, he will be one of, if not the top catcher in free agency. So you know what you have here with Hernandez. He knows what he has here in Cincinnati, but will the lure of maybe more playing time with another ball club, maybe making some more money with another ball club, you know, at his point in his career, he just might as well try to get everything he can.
One on Ramon. And a swing and a foul ball back out of play.
I do know that, you know, Ramon will never talk about it publicly, but he's not all that excited about platooning the way he has this year with Ryan Hanigan. I mean, when a guy signs a contract, oftentimes major leaguers will sign contracts with incentive clauses that will pay them bonuses if they get a certain number of plate appearances or a certain number of games played. And if you're a platoon player, you oftentimes don't get to those plateaus, even though you think when you sign the contract that that is going to be part of the deal.
Ball 4.
Hey, he gives you a good at bat, though, doesn't he?
He sure does. He's been a nice sign for the Reds, trade for the Reds since they brought him over, and has played very, very well. Travis Wood only 2 hits and 28 at bats with a home run and 3 batted in. Oh, Stubbs caught off. They throw down to third, and a poor throw, a high throw, allow Frazier to advance on to third base. Frazier caught in no man's land, and a good throw by the shortstop Varmus, and he would have been gunned down at third.
Well, here's part of the problem right here is what happens at home plate. Travis Wood takes a pitch that's a strike, and Todd Frazier, he knows that it's a forced play at third base. That's a tough play for a runner because you've got to get a good lead right there knowing that it's a forced play, and he sees a pitch coming right down the middle, and he is anticipating Wood putting the bat on the ball. He doesn't do it, and he's hung out there in no man's land. So that is almost as much Wood's fault at the plate as it is Todd Frazier. Sometimes you run into a little bit of luck, and he ran right into it there.
Well, they're on the corners, one away. Wood with a chance to knock in a run. Here comes a squeeze, or it looked like Frazier came down the line, and then all of a sudden Wood swung the bat, and here comes Mark Berry. Clearly, there was a missed sign right there, and you don't think it was Todd Frazier who missed it.
Yep, it looks like Travis Wood is telling Mark Berry, yep. Now I get what you were talking about. Boy, that puts your heart in your throat right there if you're Todd Frazier. The good news is he fouls it off. The other good news is he did not foul it off hard down the left field line and pick off his teammate.
One and two to Wood. And Happ having all kinds of control issues here in this inning. He allowed the home run to Brandon Phillips to lead off the game. And then looked very crisp, retiring Renteria and Votto on strikes. Got Bruce on a broken bat ground ball. Fan Heisey to begin the inning. But he let a couple of at-bats get away from him. And now he's a pitch away from walking Travis Wood. Fourth pitch of the inning coming up for Jay Happ. 3-2 on Travis Wood, and got him looking with a fastball. 2 out for Brandon Phillips, who led off the bottom of the first inning with his 17th home run of the year. Through the first 9 batters, Happ has struck out 4. He's walked 2, allowed 2 hits and 2 runs. Brandon had a good cut right there. He had a good cut in the first inning.
Boy, very similar pitch right there. That looked like a little bit of a two-seam fastball that Happ tried to run away from him, and Brandon went with it. He has really changed, I think, Tom, his batting style since going to the leadoff spot. I mean, he's not thinking like a number 4 hitter, not trying to clear and separate and trying to hit everything out of the ballpark. And when he hits that ball the other way, he's got enough bat speed to hit it out of this ballpark. That is for certain. A time there, it seemed like earlier in the year when Brandon was down the number 4 spot, that he was really looking almost every pitch for that pitch down and in, the one that he could drop the bat head and launch into the upper deck to left field. Now he spread his stance a little bit, as is evidenced by that little last swing right there, just trying to spoil that high fastball to stay alive. Working the pitcher much better than he did earlier in the year.
Good pitch here by Happ in that 11th inning. Phillips disagrees with Chad Fairchild. You read his lips. There's no way. But 5 strikeouts in the game for Happ. Reds get a run and lead as we go to the 3rd. 2-0.
Basically, you know, it's something that it sucks. I mean, it hurts, and you know, I think I can tolerate pain pretty well. Obviously, I've been playing with it for a month and a half, so you just got to deal with it and just move forward with it. Every time I run, it's hitting another piece of bone. It's not really very nice when that's happening. So just deal with it and just, you know, tape it up and let's go.
Talking about that injured ankle, our Geico Direct quote, Yonder Alonso. Chris, that goes all the way back to the month of August when he came up to the Reds and he played left field first time in the major leagues. Remember that at Wrigley Field?
Oh, sure.
That's when he hurt his ankle. Well, bouncing ball by Bourgeois, who singled his first time up, but a bouncer to Phillips to begin the third. Reds leading 2-0.
You know, the weird thing about that Yonder Alonso injury, Tom, is that we've watched him. We've watched him in that period of time take ground balls at third base. We've seen him take fly balls in left field. We've seen him run the bases. I don't know if it was something that he was keeping from the ball club or that they were just hoping that was not as major that as it's turned out to be, but you hate to see anybody sidelined, especially for a guy like Alonso, who's got so much to show here in the last week of the season. I mean, I love to watch that guy hit.
Well, Altuve struck out I beg your pardon, put down a sacrifice his first time up. The next batter up, Martinez, struck out his first time. 1-1 to Altuve, who advanced Bourgeois down to third in that first inning. But then with a runner at third and one out, Wood struck out Martinez. He walked consecutive batters to load him up. But the Astros wound up leaving him loaded. And now with 2 away in the third, the Reds with a 2-0 lead. Martinez coming up. And right now on FoxSportsOhio.com, you can chat with our Hall of Fame baseball writer Hal McCoy. It's on FoxSportsOhio.com, presented by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO and SafeAuto.com. Well, it's great to ask Hal McCoy, you know, where he thinks a lot of these issues will end up, if you will, looking ahead to 2012. Guys like Alonso and Sapelt and Heisey and Frazier, and right on down the line. Hal's dialed in. Two and one on Martinez.
Well, that's a good pitch on a 2-0 count. Martinez thinking, all right, Travis Wood's going to challenge me with a fastball, and he pulls the string on a pitch that looks just like a fastball. Martinez way out in hit. Add, subtract, add, and subtract.
Off the end of the bat, but he got enough off of it to drop it over the reach of Brandon Phillips in a 2-out single by Martinez.
That's a good adjustment by Martinez right there. I was probably thinking that on that particular count, 2-2 after seeing changeup and then fastball, he's thinking off speed right here. But what helps him is that breaking ball that's going to break right into the zone for him. Instead of that changeup that breaks away from him, curveball comes right into him. He's able to get the bat on it.
Carlos Lee walked on 4 pitches his first time up. Lifts a fly ball to shallow right. Bruce got a good jump, and that'll end it in the third. A hit a man left. Reds lead 2-0. opening our game tonight. Russell Harrod of Westchester, Ohio, currently drives a Toyota Avalon. Will win the beautiful new Tundra on display here at Great American Ballpark. Of course, they gave away a brand new Tundra. Did the Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers over the weekend. That's a bobble. And safe at first is Renteria on an error by the third baseman Paredes.
A fool on a changeup, a nice easy ground ball. See how he kind of positions himself wide open right there. I'm not really sure why he does that. I don't see those Gold Glove third basemen doing that, but he should be right there ready to go, and the ball just kind of comes up out of his glove when he tries to grab it, tries to make something out of nothing, and runs it right by Carlos Lee at first base, but no advance. You know, the Reds have been disappointing this year, no doubt, after on the heels of winning the National League Central last year. You always raise the bar of expectation, but man, if you're an Astros fan or if you're Brad Mills, you're looking at a team right now that has already lost 100 games. And you're running out a team out there that most of these guys were playing AAA last month. Dusty Baker still has a ball club that trying to get him motivated, trying to get his best record on the board at the end of the year as possible. That quest towards 500 took a major step backwards with that sweep by the Brewers.
Yeah, homestand started winning 3 out of 4 over the Cubs, and then the 3 straight losses against the division leading Brewers. Brewers open up a series tonight in Chicago. Their magic number down to 4. Votto struck out his first time up. 2-2 this time. A light mist falls upon the crowd right now.
Chad Fairchild's caught a lot of strikes. In fact, Joey Votto, I'm sure, giving him a little bit of some kind of a message. Taking his time in the batter's box, turning away from the pitcher, looking at the umpire, looking down at the dirt, maybe saying something to the umpire. You didn't ask me about Chad's number.
You know, as I was racing through the umpires, that was on my mind. I let it get away. Tell us about Chad Fairchild.
Well, he was just made a everyday major league umpire last year in 2010. He's been 3 years up and down as a minor league / major league umpire, and the number on Chad, 62.50.
Well, congratulations to him. Those guys work very, very hard to get to the big leagues. They put in a lot more years than even guys that are long-time minor leaguers trying to work their way up to the major league.
Yeah, actually, I would think that statistically, the odds of making it as an umpire in the minor leagues is less than making it as a player. Because there's just no turnover. Now, we had a whole crew in here last with Bill Miller and that whole crew that you seem like those guys have been around for 18 years, all of them.
Well, and obviously, I mean, just by virtue of the number of umpires out there compared to the number of players out there. I mean, right now you extend the rosters, and obviously it's September. But say you've got 32, call it 35 guys sitting in each dugout right now. You're talking about 70 players. You got 4 umpires. Double play ball. Wipes the bases clean, and there are 2 outs here in the 3rd inning.
And then the other thing about being an umpire in the minor leagues is that it's so subjective as to who gets called up. I mean, yes, you get judged, and there's guys down there watching you to see who the best umpires are. But the bottom line is that it's not like you can go down to the minor leagues as an umpire and hit 400 and crank 40 home runs and force your way into the big leagues. You either do a good job or you don't. Somebody's got to take notice.
There's strike 1 to Jay Bruce. Jay broke his bat his first time up on a one-hopper to Clint Barmas at short. He's behind this time, 1-2. Reds got a leadoff home run in the bottom of the first inning from Brandon Phillips. Got a one-out walk to Drew Stubbs in the second inning, who scored on a double by Todd Frazier after Drew had swiped second base. Happ thought that was strike 3. He was on his way back to the dugout.
What's the Fox track say?
Off the end of the bat. This one will back up the right fielder Downs, but he's able to get to it, and that'll retire the side. An error, nobody left. We played 3, and the Reds lead 2-0.
Retailers and our military around the world. JTM Food Group. By your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. For a dealer near you, visit buyatoyota.com. By Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by Moneyball, starring Brad Pitt. In theaters September 23rd. Rated PG-13.
Reds Hall of Fame and Museum. What a place it is if you're coming down to the ballpark sometime and you've never been. You ought to stop by. That Johnny Bench exhibit will not be going on much longer. Well, what a weekend, I guess, Chris, it was here on Saturday night, Johnny Bench night.
I'll tell you, Johnny Bench was just great that weekend. He really was having a great time, obviously. But I really think it finally sunk into Johnny Bench how much this city really does love him, respects him, how the ball club has gone so far to build him a statue, to immortalize him here at Great American Ballpark. And boy, the Reds, it seems like ever since the Castellini group took over this ball club, anytime the Reds do something like that, where they honor a player or they bring some players back or they do some kind of a ceremony, it just does first class all the way.
No doubt about it.
It could not have gone better this weekend with Johnny Bench.
I mean, everything that we had during the summer, where we had that little skit downtown, the charity event where the players came down
at the Aronoff.
Yep. The Hall of Fame, the way they've really brought that back, meaning inductions into the Hall of Fame every other year. And of course, we'll have another induction class looking ahead to next year and the whole ceremony that goes along with that.
How about Reds Fest?
Reds Fest, off the charts. Bringing back the Reds Caravan, thanks to our good friend Linda Antist and all the folks over at CincinnatiUSA.com. Not 1, not 2, but 3 busloads, all of us heading out. And we'll be on the road again this winter. Brandon Phillips just missed it. Looking up into that mist we talked about that's falling right now.
Well, he takes a big swing, but the ball doesn't go very far. But look at the jump that Brandon gets on that ball. Boy, and he normally just has that in his hip pocket. Nearly does right there. It must have just gone off his glove. You get so used to seeing him make plays like that you're amazed when he does it. There are a whole bunch of second basemen that don't even get close to that ball.
Paredes, his first time up, popped up, leaving the bases loaded, ending the first inning. Popped up to Brandon Phillips, and there's strike one. Should be a double play ball here, and it is. Right to Rhea to Phillips on Dovato. All right, time now, Chris. You've been on a pretty good roll here with our AT&T trivia question. What about tonight?
Let's see what we've got. Who are the only two Reds to have 20-plus home run and 30-plus stolen base in multiple seasons? Two Reds who have hit 20 more home runs or 30 or more stolen bases in multiple years.
I don't think I've gotten 3 of them right the entire summer, but I think that one.
You should get this one.
Yes, I think I know the answer to this one. We'll give all of you at home a little chance to think about it.
And I don't think you have to go too far back.
No, you do.
Okay.
No. Although, it's funny, man. You think about, and you say not too far back. It's going further and further back, brother, as we move along.
Speak for yourself. I'm not joining in.
You look like you are.
By PNC December 2nd and 3rd. Of course, it'll be at the Duke Energy Convention Center, so don't miss your chance to see your Reds. A lot of them will be coming back, autographs, all sorts of memorabilia booths, the main stage. Tom Brenneman will be there. That's always a great weekend.
Really is. Got bigger and better.
I mean, how can it possibly get bigger than it was last year?
I always wonder how it can get better than it was the year before, and they find a way to tweak this or tweak that, and you come back the following year and you're like, man, it's about as good as it gets.
It is.
You can bring family down, you can come down with your buddies and hang out. I mean, it really is a fan fest. You would expect it to be fan friendly, and it's great for all ages.
I thought it was a great idea to change the timing of that, the dates to before Christmas. A lot of people come down there, and there's so many different memorabilia dealers. You can sign balls, and you can buy bats and cards and all sorts of stuff that people go down there and they complete their Christmas shopping list right then and there. That play took a little while to evolve.
Well, I tell you, Declan Mullen, the head of ballpark operations, hit the nail right on the head in regard to the forecast. Going all the way back to early this afternoon, I picked up the phone and called him. I said, Declan, you got to be kidding. It was pouring off and on all day today. I said, we're really going to play tonight? He said, yeah. He said, the front's going to be out of here by about 5 o'clock. Sure enough, it was. And he said, sometime after 8, we're going to have on again, off again. He said, we got to get it started on time, and at the very minimum, hope you get the 5 innings in. But he thought we would play this game in its entirety.
What is this stuff that that's coming down right now?
I don't know what you call it. But all I know is every time you go to Seattle, Washington in the wintertime, it's like this 24/7.
Well, somebody's going to get in their eyes right now. And it did not bother Jimmy Paredes.
All right, time to answer our AT&T trivia question. Chris, you want to give the answer?
All right. The question was, which Reds in multiple seasons have hit more than 20 home runs and stolen 30 or more bases? A couple of them. Got to go back to the Big Red Machine. Joe Morgan did it 4 times, 73, 4, 6, and 77. And Eric Davis, did you have those?
I did.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm never ever right, so I'm not going to pat myself on the back because that would be foolish.
Of course, Drew Stubbs did it last year once. I guess at the beginning of every year now with Stubbs on the roster, you think that he's the one guy on this team with the potential to be able to do that.
Oh, and one to Todd Frazier. Frazier knocked in a run with a double up the left field line his first time up. Boston fell behind 3-0. They lead 6-3 at the end of 2 after losing game 1 of a doubleheader at Fenway against Baltimore. 1-2 on Frazier. Meanwhile, Florida leading Atlanta 2-0. St. Louis wrapping up that long weekend and a carryover day today in Philadelphia. In front 3-1, and should those leads stand, and there's a long way to go in both games, all of a sudden the Cardinals would only be 2.5 back in the wild card. It's extraordinary how well that Cardinal team has played for the better part of now 4 weeks.
That is why you never, and I mean never, underestimate a team managed by Tony La Russa. I mean, he figures out a way, and adjusting the pitching staff, getting the most out of his players, scouting the opposition. I still think that he is the most prepared manager in baseball. For instance, he moved Chris Carpenter up the pitch last night. Want to make sure they had that game in. Carpenter responds with, 8 shutout innings? Yep. Kyle Loesch tonight thinking, all right, well, they're going to face Roy Halladay, and you never know, even if you're going to get a hit, much less a run off of Halladay. Then they come out and they score 3 early on, and Kyle Loesch has now got them in the bottom of the 4th inning, up by 2, 3-1.
Frazier out of there on strikes, and the first 1, 2, 3 inning of the night for half. We move to the 5th. The Reds lead 2-0. company party? Let the Red Special Event Department make your event an unforgettable one. You can do it right here at Great American Ballpark. Wayne & Company having a function just before the ball game tonight. 765-7065. The number to dial if you're interested. Not really raining, but there is a little bit of the wet stuff, just sort of, I suppose, a mist, a very, very light sprinkle. It's almost like taking one of those, water bottles where you pull the little trigger and it just sprays out on you, cool you off in the summertime. I don't think it's serving that purpose here tonight. Temperatures in the low 60s at game time. But the humidity is so high. I saw where it's up around 99%.
Isn't it usually high when it rains?
But really high. I mean, you can walk
really
around
high?
with a short sleeve shirt on, and I don't think you feel uncomfortable, do you? For a fall night?
I agree, yeah. You're right about the humidity. Your hair's a little frizzy tonight.
It is. Yep. Much like my personality a little bit tonight. There's a high pop up in the shallow center, and Stubbs will get it. Quintero retired as we open the 5th inning with the Reds in front 2-0.
Hey, Reds fans, if you're in the restaurant industry, let JTM Food Group help you with great tasting products for your menu. Inspired solutions, better results, JTM.
So Jay Happ will bat. He grounded out to Joey Votto his first time up. Puts a bat on the ball in foul ground, and no one going to get to this. Out of play. Nice play by that fan down there. Frazier even telling him. Nicely done, sir. Brought his glove with him as an old school Reds count. Look at this. Lean out to get it. Nicely done. And then Todd Frazier saying, all right. One and 1.5. I tell you, that is one enjoyable young man to be around, Todd Frazier. Oh, what a great kid.
Upbeat all the time.
All the time. Just such a, really a fun guy to be around. Upbeat, smiles a lot, likes to laugh, smart. You can meet great folks from all over the country. Brandon Phillips from down south. And, Todd Frazier. If there's ever a quote-unquote Jersey guy, he is a Jersey guy. And oftentimes you hear about, those in the Northeast, and they might be this or they might be that. When you meet, and a lot of you out there met, when you meet that guy who's a guy like Frazier, a Jersey guy, they are fun people to be around.
I think he's really helped himself, too, in the eyes of the organization. What he's done since coming up here, it was not a September call-up. He was already up here, of course. But I think the fact that he's played around the infield, he can play any infield position there is. He started in left field. He's held himself pretty well with the bat. He's hitting the low 200s. That's not great, but... And I'm not sure if they project him as an everyday player anywhere, but, hey... Miguel Cairo's carved out a long career in the major leagues as a utility guy, and that's nothing to sneeze at, I'll tell you that.
And even though the Reds have only played him there one time in an extra inning game, I don't think there's any doubt whatsoever that you could plug in Todd Frazier day here, a day there, and still play shortstop. He originally came up a shortstop.
Well, you get an older shortstop like Edgar Renteria, who has been a great player, has had a super career, has got World Series rings to show, World Series MVP for the Giants last year, a lot of accolades, but he's not the same foot speed guy that he was when he made the major leagues. How much different right now is Frazier's range at shortstop as Renteria's?
You know, you hate hearing when people say, well, he hadn't played there in 5 years. Well, that's not his fault.
You're right.
He was drafted, talking about Frazier, he was a guy drafted as a shortstop. And the Reds have moved him around to different positions. We've documented that since he's been brought up.
And of course, the offensive bar of expectation is much higher when you move to a corner position like third base than it is as a shortstop. If you're a shortstop, it's okay to hit 250 with, you know, a little bit of a home run average and so on. When you're a third baseman, you better be able to start powering the ball all over the place in order for you to be, you know, a lock to be an everyday player.
Bourgeois ran on the first pitch first time. First pitch this time. Both times steals second base.
You know, for a while there, it seemed like the Reds were throwing over to first base 3-4 times every time a fast runner got on. Close down there, made close by a good throw from Hernandez, but he got the lead off of Wood. But I'm really stunned that Travis Wood decided not to at least go over there once, or whoever's calling that from the Reds dugout doesn't have a feel that maybe Bourgeois might be stealing. Guy can run.
He has looked really good this year against the Reds. Now, we don't see him when he leaves here, and we're not watching him the 2 or 3, 4, 5, 7 series before he comes in. But he has played very, very well against the Reds this season. Well, Wood looking for that final out. We know about the forecast, a high probability of rain. There's a liner, and this will get us officially 5 innings in the books. So the Reds will bat in the bottom half as we play on. Reds in front 2-0. Great powers in the state of Ohio taking on Middletown to face the Middies, our high school game of the week. Thursday night at 7. Brad Johansson, Dave Lapham on the call right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Of course, your alma mater, Chris. The Bombers locking up with longtime rival, the mighty men of Moeller.
The Crusaders and the Bombers going at it. That's at Nippert Stadium. Of course, the St. X Bombers trying to recover from that loss to Louisville Trinity.
Louisville's coming up here and giving Elder and St. X losses.
Yeah, they may say that they would be the class of the GCL, the way they come up here to Cincinnati and whooped up two GCL teams.
And if I'm not mistaken, they still have a date with Moeller late in the year. So that ought to be interesting to see, though, what happens between the Bombers and the Crusaders. the count on Ramon Hernandez, leading off against Jay Happ here in the bottom of the 5th inning with the Reds in front 2-0. 2 runs, only 2 hits for the Reds. They got the home run by Phillips and the run scoring double by Frazier. Houston, no runs, 4 hits against Travis Wood. 2-1 to Hernandez. Ramon aboard for the 2nd time. A walk and now a hit. Travis Wood going to try and butt him over. Which he will do successfully. Can't roll it out there any better than that and give Wood his 5th sacrifice.
You know, the remarkable season that Ramon Hernandez is having is, in my estimation, made even more remarkable because a lot of the at-bats he's had have been the number 8 spot in the order. That's a spot where he gets pitched around a lot. It's not an easy place to hit for a high batting average. He's driven in some big-time runs, and it works out perfectly when he leads off, gets on base. Ryan Hannigan's got a pretty decent on-base percentage, too. And then you're able to get that pitcher up there to move him over into scoring position.
So now Brandon Phillips, who homered to right center field leading off the 1st inning, was called out on strikes, stranding 2 in the 2nd. Looks at ball 1. Hernandez leading out there at 2nd. 1 out, 2-1 to Phillips. And the count is even up.
Boy, had a pitch right there that he really thought he could handle. Just pulled off a bit of hair and fouled it back.
Two now on Brandon, trying to get that 3rd run home of the night. It's off the inside corner. That's where Happ went to get a called 3rd strike Brandon's last time up.
Yeah, there was a streak there with several hitters that Happ was throwing that fastball or cutter inside, and Chad Fairchild was expanding that strike zone a little bit on the inside corner, ringing up some Reds.
And here's ball 4 to Brandon. So there are 2 on for Edgar Renteria. That's 3 walks in the game given up by Happ. Happ figures to be a part of Houston's starting rotation next year, along with Wandy Rodriguez and Brett Myers, both under contract. And after that, they need to start figuring out who else might be a part of that rotation.
We're going to see Bud Norris tomorrow night. And he's pitched a lot for the Astros so far this year. Has a nice earned run average, although he's 4 games under 500, 6-10. That's not an easy, that's not a hard thing to do when you're playing for a team that has lost 100 games.
Renteria struck out and reached on an error by the third baseman. 1-1. Cardinals still leading in Philadelphia 3-1 that game in the 6th inning. Atlanta getting a run back, trailing Florida 2-1 also in the 6th. And a wild one going on at Fenway. Now 6-5 Boston leading Baltimore. That's in the 3rd inning. 2-2 on Renteria. Mention down the National League West, Giants have a night off. Arizona will open up a series against the Pirates. Ramon Hernandez leads at second. Brandon Phillips over at first. And the 3-2 on Renteria is a soft one hopper. Scooped up. Out at third. Out at first. Double play ends the inning. Not exactly how you draw it up, but the end result sends us to the 6th. 2-0 Reds.
To see every Reds game live or on demand on your computer or on your favorite handheld device, visit Reds.com to order it and get more details at MLB.tv. Baseball everywhere. If you haven't got it yet, get it before these last 6 games are up.
Well, the night is over for Travis Wood. Chris brought up earlier he has pitched sparingly since being brought up from the minor leagues, and that's nearly 3 weeks ago. So they're getting him out of there after 5 very good innings tonight. And Logan Ondrusek will take over on the mound.
Looked very strong to Travis Wood. You know, a little bit of a hiccup in the 1st inning, but as I said early on, he had a little bit of rust going on because he has not pitched all that well. And when you're a long man down the bullpen, you don't know really when you ought to get your work in.
Ondrusek comes in and allows a base hit on the very first pitch out of his hand off the bat of J.D. Martinez. So now Carlos Lee represents a tying run, strolling to the plate near the top of the 6th inning. So Wood goes 5, allows 4 hits, 2 strikeouts, 2 walks. Lee walked and flied out to Jay Bruce in short right. Strike. No, they called it ball one. Just underneath our booth. If you're just tuning in, the Reds got a leadoff home run from Brandon Phillips in the first inning. A one-out walk to Stubbs in the second, who stole second, scored on a double by Todd Frazier, and those are the only runs for either team in the game. Logan Ondrusek in his first inning on in relief of Travis Wood, who goes 5 shutout frames, has allowed a hit, and now 3-1 to lead. And he's walked him. So not a good start for Logan Ondrusek here in the 6th inning. A hit and a walk.
Well, Logan Ondrusek came off the disabled list a while ago after going on there with some elbow issues, but I really think it was more arm fatigue than anything else. 60 games last year, 58 innings. Doesn't seem like a lot, but when you go back-to-back years now, first couple of seasons in the major leagues, when you're here for the full season, it can wear on you. And I'm not so sure that he really has a snap in his pitches that he had earlier in the year when he was lights out coming out of the bullpen. I mean, his fastball's not there what it once was. I mean, it was routine for Ondrusek to come out there throwing anywhere from 92 as hard as 94, 95 from time to time. We've not seen that in a while.
Ground ball. And a run will score. Frazier was thinking about going to the third base bag and may have momentarily taken his eye off the ball. That looked like a play that Todd probably should have made.
No doubt about it. I mean, he was there in time. It looks like he just overran that ball. He's thinking right now how he could have picked his team up and the pitcher by grabbing that ball, stepping on third base, firing over to first for a double play. Instead, 1 in or 2 on, and rally continues.
But 2-1 game, still nobody out. A hit, a walk, and now an error. Paredes is asked to bunt the runners along, and this might be a bunt hit. It is. By the time Ondrusek bent over to pick it up, Paredes was already a step away from the bag, and they are loaded with nobody out.
Good bunt right here. Wet grass is going to just kill this ball as he lays it down and softens it very nicely. Well, that's about as fine a bunt as you'll see. Ondrusek got to stick it in his pocket. All he had a chance of doing is throwing it down the right field line. So the first big challenge the Astros have presented to the Reds since the first inning.
Of course, Travis Wood standing down there and watching that would-be win hang very much in the balance with a tying run at third and nobody out. And there's ball 1 to Clint Varmus. Jose Arredondo getting loose now in the Reds bullpen as the pitching coach Brian Price will trot out to chat with Ondrusek. Travis Wood, 5 shutout innings tonight. And no sooner does he leave, Ondrusek comes in, allows a hit, a walk, a misplay by Frazier, allowing a run to score, a bunt hit, And they're loaded now with nobody out. 2-0 on Barmes.
Well, Barmes is the guy that is really one of these players that is trying to play for a contract next year. The Astros really have no answer at shortstop.
Diving play by Frazier, and he gets it out. Real nice play there by Frazier. The Astros tie the game. The Reds get the first out in the inning.
Boy, he just stretches out and just makes a grab right here and says, yep, I know I let one in with that ball that went underneath my leg. I'm going to try to get one back right here. Oh, that's a nice play.
Number 8 hitter Humberto Quintero, the batter. Have the pitcher spot due up next. A 2-2 game. It's a very, very important batter here for Logan Ondrusek and the Reds. Not quite sure what's going on here with Quintero. Everybody's sort of staring at him, wondering if he's going to get back into batter's box. He has been very good in these situations this year. That is by far and away higher than the league minimum, or the league average, I should say, which is right in the mid-50s.
Yeah, that's really amazing. I would think, I mean, if you ask any baseball fan, what do you think the league average is for getting a guy in from third base less than 2 outs? I would think it would be more like 70%. Yep. When that number first propped up years ago and looked at it, you know, in the high 50s. Wow. Take that.
Line drive double play ends the inning. The Astros score twice. They go to the bottom of the 6th, tied at 2. Now it's time for the Coors Light Freeze Cam. Tell you, the Reds fans have made some big league plays in the seats this summer. Nice one right there. Brought his mitt. Leaning into the row behind him. Gets a big smile and a attaboy from Todd Frazier. Our Coors Light Freeze Cam brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. You don't think his son thinks he's the main man? Look at that t-shirt.
Charlie Hustle
nice.
T-shirt on. I like that. Boy, they're having a good time at the ballpark.
Brought up earlier, he has that old school Cincinnati Reds stockings cap on. That's what Joel Luckham wears up here in the booth on a semi-regular basis.
He does.
Statistician.
Not everybody can get away with it, but Joel can.
He can. You know, you want to start wearing those in your tech talks.
I thought I was a beret guy in your book.
Well, I mean, but for the tech talk, you need a baseball hat. Beret you ought to start wearing in the telecast.
I usually don't wear a hat because I want to make sure whoever watches the CBTS Tech Talk knows who the current player is and who the former player is.
Well, not all of them are current players.
Well, no, I mean,
aspire on a night.
Yeah, who the coaches are,
right?
Or I mean, who the experts are. Let me put it that way. I'm the
You're an
moderator.
expert.
I'm more the moderator of it.
Well, if you want to really make sure who the expert is and who the moderator is, then flip on that beret. Maybe every now and again your Irish heritage, break out a kilt. Here's a 1-2. It's off the inside corner. 2-2 to Votto.
From Ireland, not Scotland.
Well, no, they wear those every now and again in Ireland too, don't they? Come on. Never, or is that strictly a Scottish?
I think it's a Scottish.
All right, okay. All right, my bad. I don't want to offend anybody out there.
Well, Joey Votto came into this ball game having had real good success against Jay Happ. Something like 4 for 5 off of Happ. And Happ has just simply gone with the fastball primarily upstairs and has taken care of Votto each and every time up.
That is 7 strikeouts now in the game for Happ.
You know, when he gets into problems, it's all about control. He walked 4 batters his last outing. He walked 4 batters the previous outing. Before that, he pitched a shutout, 7 shutout innings against the Pirates. But if you look at Happ's lines game by game, I mean, there are a lot of them where he's walking 3, 4, even 5 batters a ball game. He's got good stuff. I mean, it must be very deceptive because the Reds are not getting all that many great swings on him. Of course, he was a guy that was an instrumental part of that trade that sent Roy Oswalt to the Philadelphia Phillies. So if you're going to get traded for Roy O, got to have something going for you.
Fastball away, 1-2 to Jay Bruce. Started 2 and he went around, and that's strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts against Votto and Bruce for Happ. He has 8 of them now on the night.
Well, the Reds have really struck out a lot. Over the weekend, they struck out 35 times, including 15 times in one ball game against the Brewers. That was the Yvonne Gallardo game, a game in which he had his career high in strikeouts with 13. Jay Happ is picking up right where the Brewers pitching staff left off.
Izzy 0 for 2 has struck out and popped up to Altuve at second base.
He's got 103 pitches, Happ does. The only inning that the Reds really worked him was that second. So they scored their second of 2 runs.
Well, that is the only inning where the Reds, I take that back, they actually had 2 on in the 5th inning. So in 2 of the innings tonight, they've had 2 base runners on, the 2nd and in the 5th.
Well, in that second, that was the only inning he walked anybody. He walked 2 batters in that inning. Looks like he was about to unravel.
Van Heisey chases a pitch up around his neck.
Good night.
Season high 9 strikeouts for Happ.
Children's ranks 3rd in the nation on U.S. News and World Report's honor roll for Best Children's Hospitals 2011. By your Cincinnati Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. Visit mycincinnatihondadealer.com for current offers. And by Wendy's. You know when it's real.
2-2 ball game. Houston comes to bat here in the top of the 7th inning in the first of 3, the final 3 home games for the Reds in his 2011 year. Now taking over on the mound after Logan Andrusa gave up 2 runs in his only inning is Jose Arredondo.
Well, nearing 50 appearances is Jose Arredondo and 48 innings. Remember, he missed the entire season of 2010 in recovering from Tommy John surgery. Originally signed as an infielder with the Los Angeles Angels, and Reds signed him to a minor league deal, and here he is almost 50 times out there for Dusty Baker.
Backup center fielder J.B. Shuck coming up to pinch hit for Happ. Good night for Happ.
This kid's an Ohio State boy, right?
Indeed he is. Choking up on that bat. Open stance. 1-1 pitch is just under the knees. You know, you talk about Arredondo, and of course we've documented many times about how he missed all of last year, and the Reds signed him knowing he would miss all of last year. And there's a base hit in the center field. Young man born in Westerville, Ohio.
Yeah, he's got a big crowd over here. Followed him down from the Columbus area to watch him play here against the Reds. Probably watching Reds for a long time, and pretty good stroke right there, right back through the box.
Now Bourgeois. 2 hits and 3 at bats, a pair of stolen bases. Well, just to finish up on Arredondo, you know, Chris, as this season has gone on, he's gotten better and better. Now, that's no guarantee he's going to get him out tonight, but I mean, he has really pitched well when you consider he missed all of last year and won him with a major league club when the season began. Running foul.
Well, you're right. Had a little hiccup the other day when he came in and gave up a home run on the first batter that he faced, but that's going to happen from time to time. I think the Reds are probably pretty pleased with Arredondo. I think as they project forward, they hope that his velocity reaches back to where it was when he was really at his heyday with the Los Angeles Angels. I mean, in 2008, he was 10-2, had an earned run average of 1.6, struck out nearly a batter per inning. But we've seen him top out this year about 92, 93. I mean, the word was that, you know, when he was really throwing the ball great, he was throwing the ball, you know, 94, 95, even higher than that. Just haven't seen that yet. Fastball, splitter, those are the 2 main pitches that he throws up there.
You know, the one pitch we saw that we had not seen Arredondo throw the entire year, and it was during that Cubs series. I know, Chris, you were off when the Cubs were in town here at the beginning of last week. Was a slider.
Yeah.
And we have not seen that all year.
I got to, you know, you see that happen, Tom, and you have to give some credit down there to, you know, Francisco Cordero. I know that those guys are very close. I mean, Francisco Cordero this year picked up a curveball from Nick Bassett and has worked that in really a little bit since the beginning of the year, but more so lately. Hitters have never seen that before, so you may give that a little bit of credit why Cordero's had such a good season. And they're all working with each other. Of course, all under the watchful eye of Porky Lopez. There's Coco, and there's Porky.
Two on Altuve.
Boy, you like to get him out in front of a little ground ball to end the inning here. Overthrew the the splitter. Altuve he's one of these kids that comes up there. He's tough to walk. You'd rather not face J.D. Martinez, already with a couple of hits and a run scored.
One-two delivery and barely got a piece. And I mean a piece right before it wound up in the glove of Ramon Hernandez.
I think that's a slider right there. You know, it's sometimes tough to chart a pitcher that throws a splitter and a slider unless you slow it down like we can do and see that ball come right out of his hand.
1-2 again on Altuve. And it's popped up. Will be the second out of the inning, waiting on Votto. That light mist we had coming down earlier is stopped for the time being, or at least it appears as though it has. Understand all of this is supposed to blow out of here by about mid-morning tomorrow. Be a beautiful night tomorrow night.
So if you haven't caught your red legs yet this year, you have tomorrow night and Wednesday afternoon your last two chances to do that.
7:10 tomorrow night, 12:35 on Wednesday afternoon.
Homer Bailey tomorrow night.
Yep, gets Bud Norris, you brought up earlier. Wandy Rodriguez against Bronson Arroyo on Wednesday. That'll be the home finale. So now Martinez, Chris mentioned he's had a good night. Struck out his first time up, and that was a big at bat with a runner at third and only one out. But he had a single to center in the third inning and had a single against Andrusik his last time up in the last inning. And scored the first of 2 runs. Wondering where that one missed. 2 balls and a strike.
Well, that was a good fastball right there. Nice crisp release by Arredondo. Now that Fox Tracks that we have, that's not perfect. So don't go off the deep end judging umpires, because even those that design it will tell you that it's got a miss ratio of about, or miss margin of about 10%. It's the same box, though, and the same technology that the Major League umpires use to judge themselves. They'll get a CD of the ball game, the home plate umpire will, and be evaluated on it, how many pitches he misses and didn't miss, and which calls they got right and wrong, and so on. The umpires aren't necessarily completely convinced that that is the tell-all, end-all as far as being the most accurate thing available.
So 3-2 on Martinez. A runner with 2 away will get started at first. It's a 2-2 game. We are in the 7th inning. Arredondo trying to put him away right here and right now. And it's ball 4, so the inning will continue for Carlos Lee.
You know, I don't think it's the stuff that keeps Arredondo from being a dominant pitcher, a guy that Dusty Baker might use a little later in the ball game normally with the lead. But it's that base on ball. That is his 29th base on ball in less than 50 innings. So if you're walking a batter every other time you go out there, if you're a 1-inning pitcher and you've got 50% chance of walking a batter in that inning, why would a manager run you out there in a ball game that's, you know, tight late in the game when you dig yourself a hole?
And oftentimes earlier in the year when Arredondo first came up to join the club, that walk would occur to the leadoff man in it.
Watch as Jim Day visits Cincinnati, USA's must-see attractions. Where in Cincinnati, USA is Jim Day? If he's into Fox Sports Ohio, we'll let you know.
This ought to do it in the 7th. Renteria the short way to Phillips. They stand and stretch at the ballpark. A 2-2 game. .41-92, the story of Pete Rose, the crowning of the hit king. That's coming your way this Wednesday night at 9 o'clock right here on Fox Sports Ohio. So a 2-2 game as the Reds come to bat here in the last of the 7th inning in a one-time red. Ignacio del Rosario takes over on the mound, replacing Jay Happ. Happ fans a season-high 9. Allows 2 runs, both runs earned runs. Only gave up 3 hits in 6 innings. And he walked 3 batters. So Del Rosario to face Bruce Stubbs, Todd Frazier, Ramon Hernandez. And first pitch swinging a weak fly ball to short right field. And Shuck stays in the game. Is that him out there? No, it's still down. 1 out. Juan Francisco will now come up and bat for Todd Frazier. Reds got a home run by Brandon Phillips leading off the first inning. Bruce Stubbs drew a walk, stole a base with 1 out in the second, and scored on a double by Frazier. And after Travis Wood pitched 5 scoreless innings as a Red starter, Logan Andrusa gave up 2 runs, 1 earned, allowing 2 hits and a walk in the 6th. Arredondo gets him through the 7th. Of course, when this homestand began, the very first game of this homestand, Juan Francisco hit the 2nd longest home run in the history of Great American Ballpark. 502 feet. He nearly hammered it into the river. This one in the air, deep left center field, and in front of the wall, it will be Martinez. You tell when he left the bat, he didn't get all of it. But you thought maybe he had enough.
Well, he doesn't have to get all of it to get out of this ballpark. He takes a hack, though, doesn't he? Watch him wind up to hit this ball. Turns his torso, gets his foot down. That ball on the outer part of the plate, and he hits it a mile high. You know, you take whatever home runs that are hit down if you play for Louisville. Sometimes that number, when you come out of the minor leagues, well, they're not going to hit nearly as many as the big leagues because the pitching is better and so on. But I would suspect, because Louisville is such a hard ballpark to hit a home run in, that you get guys like Juan Francisco up here who hit some home runs down there, that production will be just about the same in the big leagues. If they can hit big league pitching, as it will be down there, because the ball is a lot easier to hit out of the ballpark here than it is down in a AAA franchise. I mean, the way the wind is there, the balls just die in the gaps. You really got to knock one.
2 away in the inning for Ramon Hernandez. 1 ball and 1 strike. Ramon has been on twice. He walked back in the second inning and singled to right center in the 5th. Del Rosario misses low. 2 balls and a strike. Good eye by Hernandez. He takes that breaking ball off the outside corner.
3 times up, 3 times on.
Miguel Cairo will now come up to bat for Arredondo. First pitch swinging is Cairo, and it's off out of play. Strike 1. Very, very close that time. Well, that throw from the catcher Quintero down to first base. It's a go-ahead run over there at first here in the last of the 7th inning. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes on Cairo. Off the inside corner. Atlanta's come all the way back from down early to the Marlins, take a 5-4 lead in the 7th, and that one is just dribbled through the right side and into right field to advance Hernandez on to second. So a pinch hit single by Cairo, and the Reds have Brandon Phillips coming up.
Well, you can see that Miguel Cairo is thinking right field all the way. He doesn't care if that ball is in on his hands or down and away, up and away. Doesn't matter. He's thinking about hitting that ball to the right side with a big wide opening because of the first baseman holding the runner on. And he's talking to Billy Hatcher about that right now.
Mike Leake now comes on the pinch run for Ramon Hernandez. Reds, of course, have 3 catchers right now with Hannigan and the youngster Mesoraco. Well, that's going to be all for Del Rosario. This will be our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. David Carpenter will come on for Houston. Score. And David Carpenter comes on from the Houston bullpen. He's pitched well since coming up from the minor leagues. And he'll face Brandon Phillips.
That does a little etching on the dirt behind the mound right there. How those ears, David? The Mountaineers. He is a former Mountaineer from University of West Virginia. Born in Morgantown.
Oh, yeah. Our old buddy Huggy Bear patrolling the sidelines. West Virginia basketball, of course. All right, here's Brandon with a chance to give the Reds a lead. They led 2-0 up until the Astros came up with a pair in the 6th inning. Ball 1. Carpenter is split this year between Oklahoma City, their AAA team, and their AA club in Corpus Christi, Texas. He was a closer to begin the year at AA, and boy, what a start he had. In 33 games, had 14 saves, an ERA of 1.9. Then when they bumped him up to AAA, he was named a Pacific Coast League All-Star. 2-0 to Phillips. Brandon looking for something to drive and snap this 2-2 tie here on a 2-0 count. Mike Leake, the runner at second, Cairo at first. And it's too low. Force out at second will end the inning. 3-0 pitch and a weak Crowder to short. We move on to the 8th in a 2-2 game. Blast didn't take long to find this one. First Reds batter of the game. Brandon Phillips into right center field. Put him ahead 1-0. It's a 5th home run in this homestand for Brandon Phillips, giving him 17 now on the year. So 2-2. We're set to begin the 8th inning in the opener. This 3-game set with Houston in town. And now Nick Massett takes over on the mound with Francisco at third. And Devin Mesoraco behind the plate.
For Massett, another year in which he's going to pitch a lot of games. 2009 he pitched in 74 games. Last year 82 games, and here he is in number 72 in 2011. Well, he has gone through some times where he's been very, very good over a long period of time. He's gone through some times where had a hard time getting guys out. Overall, an earned run average just about where it was last year, a little bit higher.
Matt Downs to lead things off. He followed by Paredes, a third baseman, as it's ball 1 up and in, and then the shortstop Barmes.
You know, you talked about Jose Arredondo and the walks that he gives up is seemingly more often than not to a leadoff hitter in the inning. Well, Nick Massett, not quite the same way as far as walks, but certainly the same way as far as not being able to throw that first pitch in there for a strike. I mean, for a guy that throws in the mid-90s, you just hope that he could harness that control a little bit. And even if you're telling him a first pitch fastball is coming, be able to locate it where they're not going to be able to do much with it when you're dialing it up there mid-90s.
Foul ball. Did he go? They don't even appeal. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Downs, who's walked, singled, and reached on that error by Frazier. That's when the Astros had 2 on and nobody out in the 6th inning, and a roller right at the third base bag. Frazier went to backhand it and missed it. It may have been a double play had he fielded it cleanly, and that ball is mashed into left field, and Houston has its first lead of the night. For Downs, his 9th home run. It's 3-2 Houston.
Well, Downs really up until this time has been used mainly off the bench, part-time player, pinch hitter. They like his power, and they, as you said earlier, Tom, they figure he will be on this roster somewhere next year. That's just a little sinking fastball that Massa just kind of lays right down Broadway. Thigh high, medium warm, bye-bye.
Paredes has popped up, bounced into a double play, and had a single in the 6th inning. That was a bunt hit. Now all of a sudden, 3 unanswered runs by the Astros after falling behind 2-0 early on. And the Reds in catch-up mode for the first time in a game. Of course, 1-run games have been a killer for both of these clubs. They have combined to lose a whopping 58 one-run games combined. 30 by the Reds, 28 of them by Houston. Reds have won 26 while losing to 30. The Astros have won 18 while losing to 28. That one hooked to the right side, and Votto will win the race to the bag. Clint Barmes, who has popped a Votto, fouled out to the catcher Hernandez, and a fielder's choice ground out tied the game in the 6th inning. Houston has broken that tie with a home run by Matt Downs against Nick Massett to open up this 8th. Well, we keep bringing you up to date on that Boston game. Unbelievably, they have only played 4 innings in the nightcap. There's a base hit and a right. And as soon as you think Boston's about to blow Baltimore out of the gym, the Orioles are scoring more runs. It is 11-8 in the 5th. And for those of you that weren't with us earlier, Boston lost game 1 of that doubleheader. So their lead over Tampa Bay is 1.5. The Rays have the night off. That's going into the nightcap of that twin bill at Fenway Park.
You know, that game in Fenway that you're talking about, that second game, Tom, there have been 19 runs scored in that game in just 5 innings right now, and only 1 home run. Wow.
So Mariano Rivera picked up save number 602 earlier today. He did it at Yankee Stadium, closing out a 6-4 win over Minnesota. And of course, that makes Mariano Rivera Major League Baseball's all-time saves leader, as Quintero has gone on strikes. 2 away in the inning. Of course, he tied Trevor Hoffman over the weekend, and both those guys will end up in the Hall of Fame one day. There's no debate about that. Well, what a career. You throw in the postseason, and I don't think there's much argument that he is the greatest closer in the history of the game. I mean, I don't know how anybody else could argue it. When you're not only the all-time saves leader, but in the postseason, almost, like every man, almost invincible. Brian Price out to chat with Nick Massett before they're going to Taking a look at a pinch hitter coming off the Houston bench, Brian Bugasevic. Reds have seen a lot of this guy, a one-time pitcher converted into an outfielder.
Guy can hit a little bit. See what he's done against the Reds, 3 for 11 this season. When they started, they put him in the outfield. And he's a good fastball hitter. And that is why Brian Price went out there, and you see that first pitch was a breaking ball. We're going to put somewhat of a modified shift on Bogusevic. And Juan Francisco playing very deep at third base. That's why he had that little fake bunt right there, thinking about dropping one down. He'd really rather hack.
Too low, 2 balls and a strike. He's hacking, and Brandon sliding in the outfield grass to take away a would-be hit. But damage done. A home run by Downs leads off the 8th. Reds bat in the bottom of the inning, down 3-2. To get out of a sticky jam. A liner that found Logan Ogrusic. And a double play. And runners on the corners. At the time in a 2-2 game. And that's the way that inning ended. So 3-2 ball game. Houston in front. Bugasevic takes over in right field. And now on the mound, they feel like this young man has a chance to perhaps pitch in their starting rotation looking ahead to 2012. Jordan Lyles.
Well, he really wasn't drafted all that long ago. Came out of high school, out of Hartsville High School in Hartsville, South Carolina in 2008. Another big, tall right-hander. 6 feet 4 inches tall, about 200 pounds. He was the Astros' #1 pick, a supplemental pick. Here's a kid, Tom. You'll like this. that was committed to play for the University of South Carolina Gamecocks football team before he decided to sign after the Astros drafted him and made him a nice offer.
Broken back in on the hands on a 0-2 pitch, and Renteria looking for new lumber.
You know what you really like is natural movement on your fastball. I mean, sometimes a kid can throw, you know, low to mid 90s, and he's getting beat all over the ballpark, and you wonder why. You look at the radar gun. I mean, on the amateur basis, you see this. You got to add a little something in the 90s and then have some hair on that ball where it's really start to move a little bit, come right in on those hitters' hands. You've got something special.
What position was he in football?
He was
looks like he might be a quarterback.
Yeah, I'm looking it up.
That's in the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
The same high school that he went to produced Albert Hainsworth. Pretty good lineman right there.
Yeah. Big Albert now in New England, getting a second chance, a third chance, a fourth chance.
Wide receiver.
Wow.
23 touchdowns.
Nice pickup, charging in to get it, made by Paredes, and a throw pulls Lee off the bag, and so Renteria is aboard to start this bottom of the 8th inning.
But Paredes has had a hard time. Had an error on down there earlier in the ball game on a ball hit by Edgar Renteria. And he just pulls Carlos Lee off the back. Lee does the right thing right here. You've got to get the ball. You can't try to stretch and get it if there's no way you're going to be able to do that.
Well, Paredes came up originally as a shortstop in the Yankees organization. He came over in that Lance Berkman deal. They moved him over to second base. And now has been forced over to third with the arrival of Altuve. So leadoff man aboard. Lefties Votto and Bruce coming up. And a lefty will come on from the bullpen. Major leaguer. The Reds want you to make your major league dream come true out in Goodyear, Arizona, February 4th through the 12th. You can suit up along with former Reds greats. The 2012 Reds Fantasy Camp. Visit Reds.com/fantasy camp for more details. Wesley Wright, the left-hander, comes on to replace Lyles. He'll face left-handed batters Votto and Bruce. Strike one. Houston leading 3-2. Renteria reaches on an error by the third baseman Paredes to begin the inning. Wesley Wright is not allowed a run in his last 14 outings since he was brought back from AAA on August the 20th. Bouncer. Lee to second for one. Relay throw. Back to Lee. The 3-6-3 double play.
Carlos Lee, former outfielder. He's got a pretty good arm. Sets himself up in a good position. Makes sure he has himself set up. A good throwing lane. And the turn by Farmas is an easy one right there. And that's a second double play that Joey Votto has hit in tonight.
Votto, a pair of strikeouts and a pair of those double plays. So now it's up to Jay Bruce as Wesley Wright misses outside. Ball one. Middle of that Reds lineup has been handled tonight by Houston pitching. The trio of Votto, Bruce, and Heisey, 3, 4, and 5 in the batting order. This one's off the end of the bat. This will be the final out of the inning. Votto, Bruce, and Heisey have not reached base. We go to the ninth. 3-2 Houston lead. Of the game, snapping a 2-2 tie. Matt Downs leading off the 8th inning. Downs out of the game, was taken down as part of a double switch. We told you tonight with his first start in right field. So they get him out of there with that 1-run lead. And now Houston bats in the top of the ninth. Reds bring on their 5th pitcher. It's right-hander Carlos Fisher.
Carlos Fisher in for the 16th time with the Reds. He had 32 appearances down there in AAA for Rick Sweet. 4-1 record for the Bats of Louisville. Struck out about a batter an inning, and see what he's done so far here. He's one of those guys that got beat around pretty good in one outing, and that's why that earned run average has jumped on him. But he's thrown the ball very well since he's been recalled.
Looks like he'll get it out on the very first pitch out of his hand. Devin Mesoraco over to get it, and Bourgeois retired.
Good guy to retire there.
You're looking ahead of the bottom of the ninth. Reds have Heisey, Stubbs, and then Juan Francisco. Mark Melanson right now is the Houston closer. That ball driven into right center, but 2 pitches and 2 outs. After tonight, the Reds will have only 8 games remaining in this season. And unless they can rally, they would go into the final 8. 6 games under the 500 mark. Crowd of 21,168 here tonight. Well, it rained pretty much all day long today. Very heavily late in the day. We wondered if we were going to be playing baseball here tonight, but Mother Nature has been quite kind to us so far, and we certainly do appreciate it. Looks like some of that mist has returned here in the top of the 9th inning. Strike 3 called, an impressive ninth for Carlos Fisher. Reds down a run. They bat in the bottom of the 9th. Reds Live. It's brought to you by King's Honda and the King's Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. We just saw Jeff Piccolo make his way down by the Reds dugout, getting ready to hopefully interview a Red after celebrating a victory here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Former Atlanta Brave Jordan Schaefer comes on to play center field. Bourgeois moves over to left. Martinez out of the game. And a new pitcher is taken over. We told you save chances have been few and far between since becoming the closer of this team for Mark Melancon. But you know, I remember going all the way back to the start of the year, Chris, how impressed we were with the stuff of Mark Melancon.
No question about that, Tom. As you mentioned earlier, of course, the Astros in the The Yankees have made some deals recently, and Mark Melancon, one of those guys that came over here from the Yankees. In the minor league since 2006 with that Yankee organization, went from A-ball all the way up to AAA, and then the Yankee Major League team in 2009, came over here to the Astros last year. Fastball about 93 miles an hour. Throws a cutter and a curveball. That big roundhouse curveball is his out pitch, and he throws it a lot to right-handers.
So Heisey to lead it off. Stubbs on deck, then Juan Francisco. Matt Downs broke a 2-2 tie leading off the 8th inning with a home run to the seats in left field against Nick Masset. After the Reds had jumped in front 2-0. Astros got 2 to tie off on Drusick in the 6th. They're running the 8th to take the lead. And we'll see if the Reds can answer. This will be out number 1. Stubbs has walked, stole a base, scored a run, fouled out to third, and flied out to right. Reds are down to their final out.
That did not look like the curveball that Melancon throws. May have been a changeup right there. I thought his curveball was a little bigger of a roundhouse, but maybe he just tightened up that breaking ball to get Drew Stubbs to chase, and he did.
Well, Francisco, of course, more than capable of tying this game with one mighty crack of the bat. He's had one plate appearance in a game, and he sent the left fielder at the time, J.D. Martinez, with his back up against the wall to make the catch.
And he just had a little conference out there. Humberto Quintero did, along with Melancon, to make sure that they had their idea of how they're going to pitch him. Because with Francisco, you just can't pitch him away and expect him to keep him in the ballpark. He's got power plenty to go out of here left field. First pitch curve, second pitch curve.
They're both going away to Francisco. A strike and a ball.
Looks like Melancon throws one of those that pitching coaches will describe as a spiked finger curve. He sticks his index finger in the seam, and the rest of it's pretty conventional. Now, if he's pitching him away, what Francisco has to be aware of is to make sure that he doesn't step too far in the bucket. If you watch this foot right here, it's got to really come this way rather than down to first baseline.
2-2.
Pulled away off that pitch and missed badly. Watch his front foot again, which way it strides right there, and he kind of leaves himself wide open right there to not be able to hit anything going down and away from him. If I'm Mark Melancon, I'm going right back after that same spot. See if Juan can make an adjustment.
That's where they went, but they didn't get it out there far enough. Able to put the bat on the ball, but fouls it out of play.
Well, they got it up, and the simple geometry of being able to hit a ball on the outer part of the plate, it's a lot easier to get the sweet part of the bat on a pitch that's up than it is down and away. I mean, simply because the bat can't reach that far. So that last one was a fastball. Here comes a curve.
Here's the one thing we've seen Francisco get a lot better at, even from this time last year. And he'll still chase that high fastball from time to time.
His pitch selection,
no doubt.
Yeah, shrinking that strike zone a little bit. That's the last step for him to become a legitimate major league slugger.
I went around. And that's the old ball game. So he strikes out Francisco. A 1-2-3 ninth inning for Melanson. The Reds give up a 2-0 lead. Houston ties it with a pair in the 6th. They break the tie on the Downs home run in the 8th. And defeat the Reds in the opening game of this 3-game series. That's now a 4-game losing streak for the Reds. They're 6 games under 500. 3-2 is our final tonight. Reds limited to